not ready yet, so just start. People are going to come onto the channel. So put it in the back stop, and I'll insert my there.
It's much more comfortable if you look at a person.
Not if it's you.
Good.
Yeah, let's just be a
Amazing idea.
So I can.
It's hard to look at a camera.
Yeah, that's good.
What's that? No, how does it look?
האמת היא שאני רגיל כבר. אין לי שום בעיה. דבר לבד עם
I'm
מצלמה.
100 times better with looking at you.
Yeah?
Yeah, look at my face when I look at him. I feel
Okay,
great.
if it helps you. Finally, we found something kind of...
Thank you. אף פעם לא עשיתי את זה, חוץ מהניסיון עם הניסה הבוקר. You have a lot of Moshe.
It's going to be fun.
I hope it's going to be fun. You can't start talking. There are people. Probably there's people watching you, so you can say hi and tell them what you're doing here.
Okay, Barak.
Hello.
Just wait.
Just okay, we can start.
No.
Let's start with the question. Maybe why?
Okay, we're taking care now about a few little details because we're transferring the broadcast from my Facebook page to the English Facebook page. It's going to take another minute or two, and then Barak and I are going to start. Stay with us. It's going to be, how do you say it? It's going to be fun.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
There's a hockey game planned to break out in 5 minutes, so you're gonna want to see this. I don't know if you caught the start of the presentation the other day when Bibi had said "Metav Technologia Yisrael."
Actually, I was on my way to a lecture of my own down in South, and so I heard the English part. When you finished the English part, I started my own presentation.
The microphone didn't work, and there was a very grim look on his face.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah. I missed. It's not only us that dealing with technicality.
I once, the first time I ever met Milton Friedman, the Nobel laureate, he was 86 years old, and it was on Radio West in Yerushalayim, which was closed down by the police.
What year was it?
It was a while ago. And so my sound guy had him counting back from 10 down to 1. This Nobel Prize winner was counting down from 10 down to 1. And he said, "When are you Israeli socialists going to get your act together?" That was the first thing he ever said to me. And then we had a great relationship. We spent tons of time together, and it went up from there. That was good. But
Okay. The Facebook shows good signs, Aryeh?
Facebook is getting.
We're getting there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on the Zehut International site. Zehut International Facebook site. I'm just waiting for it to come onto the Moshe Feiglin.
how long are we planning to go? Oh, I should have watched.
Okay. So
Well, I'll do the time. How long do you think this? An hour? Okay, so it's 55 minutes.
How you plan to get questions to us? He's the man. Okay. Good. Comments, questions.
You got any questions?
That's the fun when the comments and questions start coming in. think we'll start with the big question in the room, which is, so what's this 80% about?
No problem. אז נתחיל בעברית. So right now we broadcasting on my Hebrew Facebook page. It takes a while until the English Facebook page catches it, which makes sense because it's hard to learn Hebrew, as you know. I guess. Okay, so let's start.
Terrific.
Barak Moore.
Thank you.
New face for our supporters and people who are interested in Zehut. I assume most of our viewers right now don't know you. So tell us about yourself.
Sure. My name is Barak Moore. I made Aliyah 3 times. I think I set a world record for that. Once single, once with 1 child, and once with 7 children. I live in Gush Etzion. I have 8 children, and I love it here. I say that because I'm a little worried that I'm going to cause people to make yirida when we talk today, because the country is definitely a cup that's half full. So we could talk about how half full it is, or we could talk about half empty it is. Okay, and I don't want anybody to think that when we talk about how the cup is half empty, that we're telling you to in any way not to love it as much as.
I would say that the land of Israel is totally full. The state of Israel is half full. Okay, we still have.
What is exciting here? What is exciting about what we're going to present tonight, hopefully, is how the cup can really be much more full. Okay, that's the message of Zehut. I love this message. I have been dying for decades, living in this country, keeping my mouth shut. I believe there's 2 kinds of English speakers. There's the one who's really annoying, who complains all the time and says, why do we pay almost $10 a gallon for gas? And why do we not have an English language radio station? And why this and why that? Nobody wants to hear that. Okay, and there's people like me who have been shutting up for decades. I just kept my mouth closed, made the best of it, which is the Israeli way, to make the best of it. Live your life despite what you get thrown at from the government. But what we people need to see is that what could be here, just with what we know, could be amazing. It could be fantastic. We have, and I believe that's what the Zehut plan is, and what I think that I can do. But just in terms of introducing myself, I have spent 0 time in politics, 0 days, 0 weeks, 0 months, 0 years. Okay, I have 0 experience in politics. But what I do is I'm a private tutor. I teach. I've been teaching for over 30 years, and I can explain things to people so that they get it. I can take somebody who hates math and turn them into somebody who loves math in 1 session. I can take somebody who is getting a 26 in calculus at Hebrew University and in 6 hours get them a 90. And what I can do, and thank God I have just gotten to meet some of the most amazing people in the world, you being one of them, that some of the leaders in politics in the United States and in Israel, some of the best. I've worked with a world champion here in Israel. I've worked with professional and amateur athletes, and I've just worked with some of the most interesting and just incredible people. I've worked with Nobel laureates. I've worked with leaders in business and academia, and what I've never thought of before is the same thing that we can do to take a person from this point, from failing to an A, to succeeding in 1 session, maybe 2. We can do the same thing with a country. And the country, ironically, is a lot easier, because all we have to do, as George Costanza figured out one time on the Seinfeld show, is just do the opposite of what you think you should do, and everything will work out great. So much of what Israeli politicians do, and politicians all over the world, is the opposite of what will help. How many years, I'll just give you one example, how many years have they been talking about the periphery, helping the periphery, solving the problems of the periphery? We're going to send in more government to make the periphery better. How many have you ever heard of a time, probably before the periphery was invented, they were talking about making the periphery better?
They invented the periphery in order for them to rule. Now this is a statement which I just said, that average Israeli will not understand. What are you talking about? There's a problem in the periphery, and we're trying to solve it. no one realized that it's the state or the involvement of the state that created the problem. We're talking English now. We're talking to the Anglos in Israel.
English speakers is what I call them.
English speakers. They're basically two kind of people in Israel that hop it very fast, understand the message of Zehut very fast. It's the English speakers and the Russian speakers. Why? When the English speakers go down of the airplane, they smell something is missing, which calls
freedom.
They know what to long for. Okay, when the Russians come, they know what to escape from. Okay, but the bottom line, I think the key word is freedom. It's freedom. Freedom of choice, freedom of economy, freedom of thinking. I'm free to think by myself, for myself. The atmosphere in Israel is very closed. Can somebody really tell us what's the difference between, for example, the two-state solution of the Likud and two-state solution of Labor, or even what Bennett is talking about, which is basically exactly the same. I mean, what's the difference between autonomy plus and a state minus? You have autonomy plus of Bennett and the state and the Palestinian state minus of Netanyahu. You have so-called democracy in Israel. You have the freedom of choice, but you have only one opinion to choose.
Right. What I think is maddening to somebody who comes from an English-speaking country, let's say America, that's where I came from, so I'm going to be America-centric a bit for the moment. You come here and there's something wrong with paying almost $10 a gallon for gas. And then the money that you spend gets taken by the government and sent to terrorists. It gets sent to Hamas. It gets sent to terrorists from the Palestinian Authority. This is the money that they're taking from me, and they're sending. There is, I think it was Thomas Jefferson who said that there is nothing worse that you can do to a person than to take his money and force him to spend it on something he believes is immoral. And I love so many things about Israel. I love the ballet. I love yeshivas. I love films. I love movies. But to take my money and to spend it on those things ruins all the fun. It really does ruin all the fun. And maybe somebody else, maybe the Europeans, maybe somebody else really loves Hamas. And let them give money to Hamas. Why do I need to give money to Hamas?
This, what you just spoke about, is the small change. The big money is when the politicians in Israel, and that's the system, that's the way it works, takes your money and create for me a job that no one needs. And then I'm working for them. I'll get all my family and all my relatives to vote for them. And then they'll get more power and they'll buy more people with the money of others. And by doing that, you're creating a upside down pyramid where those who really work in this country, and there are very, very good people in this country, especially the young generation, the young couples and so on, working very hard, getting the smallest salaries, paying more than anywhere else in the West. Why? Because about a third of the Israelis are working for the government, believe it or not.
Well, the problem is there is an arrogance. There is a massive arrogance to government and to the pakidim, the clerks that work for the government, and the people with the jobs and the nepotism. They believe we can keep putting all of this stuff on the backs of the productive, creative, talented people, and they're just going to take it. But the Jew is very, 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 very clever. And the Jew is the world expert at voting with his feet to leave and to get out of places that are going to put these burdens on his back. And what happens is then the 1/3 starts to disappear. Where did my kids go? Where did all these creative people go? Where did these startup nation entrepreneurs go? The first thing that just about every startup nation star does when they make it big is they leave. Do you know where they leave to?
Well, Silicon Valley, I guess.
Silicon Valley, almost.
Yeah.
There's actually 50 states to choose from in the United States. Almost every single startup success goes to one state. I'd love to see in the comments if anybody knows this piece of information. They all go to the smallest state in the entire United States. That state
Delaware?
is Delaware.
Yeah.
Any idea why they go to Delaware?
No.
It's the place that puts the least stuff on your back. Israelis know these are people who've sold out for $1 billion sometimes, or $500 million. They have smart lawyers and they say, go to Delaware. Sometimes it's Nevada, but I think it's mostly Delaware, that they know where to go. The older Jewish people in the United States, there's no law that says that older people need to go to Florida. Just Florida has no income tax. So that retired people go to Florida because there's no income tax. Jews are world experts at voting with their feet.
Also
and
Israelis.
And Israelis leave the country just about every year.
But you know, yeah, they say there's about 1 million Israelis in Miami, and on one hand, Israeli success is a success, including economical success. You cannot deny the fact that Israel developed 10 times in the last 30 years. But you know what? You know, Barak, what is the biggest test for the Israeli economy? The feet of the people.
Exactly.
Where all the waves of Aliyah came from in the 50s, in the 70s, in the 90s. Where did they came from? Did they came from a wave of Aliyah? I'm not talking about individuals who come out of ideology, like you, like my family. I'm talking about waves of Aliyah, 500,000 of Jews coming at the same time.
I get counted 3 times. But.
Okay. Did you see any wave of Aliyah from the United States of America, or from England, or Western Europe, or Canada, or Australia, from the West, from the free countries? Nada. Nothing. The big waves of Aliyah came to Israel only from countries like the Arab countries and the Eastern Europe countries and the Russian countries. So from countries where the economy is centralized and less free than Israel. So basically, the fact that Jews do not come in big sums to Israel from the free countries is the proof of the failure of the Israeli economy. And when you're not making a free economy, you lose Zionism. You lose the reason why we created this state.
So the big word that I teach my students is the word yet. Okay? We are not yet there. But all we have to do is turn the dial just slightly, and we'll get more people from English-speaking countries coming on Aliyah. We'll get fewer Israelis going in Yerida. And here's another big thing, is that the Israeli who lives here leaves the country basically on average every year. So people will stop leaving so much, and they will be voting with their feet to stay. And not only to stay, but bringing their resources, bringing their companies, bringing their talents, bringing their expertise. Okay? And what we're going to get is going to be so much bigger than any other country that's turned the dial towards freedom, because here we can turn the dial, and that will bring in Jews and stop Jews from leaving. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about was really the burning question. The idea of the 80% that came from me. So we got to talk about the elephant in the room. So how do you think? Okay, I think this is hopefully what some people in the audience are thinking. How do you think? What's the chutzpah that you think that 80% of English speakers are going to vote Zehut? So here's the plan. Here's the strategy. Here's the thing that hopefully everybody is kind of wondering about or waiting for. So here's the way it's going to go. Okay, we believe that it's so hard sometimes to convince an Israeli that, well, we're going to make this place so great. We're going to make ballet so much better by taking money from the government out of ballet. So that's a counterintuitive concept. Right. How can you have ballet if there's no government money? Or take 2 almost identical industries. There's the film industry in Israel. I don't know how many Israeli films you've seen, but we can look at your face and you can show us by your face what you think of Israeli films. But the Israeli television industry is actually succeeding wildly right now. It is the new hot field, and it has no government involvement whatsoever. So how can it be that 2 things are almost exactly identical? One is succeeding tremendously, and one is failing miserably. Or you can even take Haredim. We believe that yeshivish people, that Hasidish people will vote for Zehut. We believe that we have a solution to every sector, every little box, okay, that they want to put us in these holes. We have a solution for every particular audience.
I can tell you that in deep surveys that we took, 11% of our voters are going to come from Haredim. Young Haredim.
We are not going to spend our time fighting so that we can put nepotism and cronyism and jobs of people who have a felt kippah, and so they can be the government clerks who oppress you. Because I don't think I get any benefit when there's a guy who's oppressing me in a government office with a kippah struga. Okay, I don't get any benefit from that whatsoever. In fact, I think I feel a little bit better when it's somebody who doesn't look like me, because then it's not as close to home. But we believe we can solve the problem of the Haredim. And I just want to just point out, we have pretty much exactly the same demographic, same values, same religion in many respects, living outside of Israel and inside of Israel. Two wildly different cultures. Right. Now, in Israel, we have grinding poverty among a very, very large segment of the Haredim. And the truth is that the Haredi parties are fighting for the Haredim, but what have they done? What have they succeeded? As Dr. Phil likes to say, how's that working out for you? It's not changing. Zehut has a plan to make Haredi society better, and the people who feel very who feel resentful of Haredim. Okay, we can solve the problem for both. It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a fight between secular and religious, between Russians and non-Russians, between English speakers and non-English speakers. This is what they've put us up to. This head-to-head fighting between the periphery and the not periphery. We can have a third way, which is we can solve all of these problems. We'll take the solutions to an entirely different level, and that's what I love about Zehut.
And I think the common and what makes all these solutions, the basic idea of all these solutions is take the government out. Take the government out. Give back the people responsibility to their lives. This is the basic thing. Freedom comes with liberty, comes with responsibility. Once you do that, what happened in the high-tech field will happen everywhere else.
Everywhere.
Including, for example, the voucher system that we're going to have in the in the education system. Okay, the Ministry of Education, okay, spends today or takes from us 3,000 shekel for every kid in the system
per month.
Per month. How much money do you think our kids get from these 3,000 shekel?
Don't get me started on the education system. I work there every day.
Now just imagine that every parent can get a voucher with a value of 2,000 shekel. Okay, so you're talking about classes of 20 people of 20 students with a budget of 40,000 shekel. You can pay the highest salaries more than in high tech for those good teachers that will stand online to teach your kids, and you'll be able to choose between them. Give you back your responsibility. Give you back your money, and everything will flourish.
Well, we're talking to a crowd that if you say the word public school, I bet most Jews from English-speaking countries are allergic to the term public school. I grew up in the worst.
But this is what we have here.
I grew up in the worst neighborhood of New York City. I give speeches about my life. It's people think it's interesting. I went to church till I was 8 years old. I watched people die in front of me. I saw somebody was murdered, shot in the neck in front of me. We had a suicide in my home. It was not the most pleasant upbringing. But when I was 13 years old, and I went to public schools all my life, the worst public schools, and we're talking about ski mask, people punching you in the head. They work in teams. This is what they would do. So, and I think American Jews know what public school is like. But what we have here, and this is not just educating our kid. This is what's providing our children with religion. This is where our kids are learning about religion, is in public schools. And in most places in the world, public schools lead to kids hating math, hating science, hating history. Here, they can hate religion too.
Right.
And
according to the international tests, what they call the PISA tests, that compare between Israel and other countries, the average Israeli student in the first 12 years is in a very, very low position. And the budget, I think Israel is number 5. We spending on education, we're not number 5 in the world, but our kids is I think number 30.
You don't have to explain to me. I see them every day, and not only are they not good in a particular thing we want them to be good in science or math, computer program, whatever it is, but they're hurting. They're in so much pain because this is their life. They know, children know.
And Barak, they're Jewish. For God's sake, they're Jewish.
It's
we're talking about the people who send all the Nobel Prize, who gets most of the Nobel Prizes. This nation is the most intellectual nation in the world. How come our kids gets more money and less education than others?
The central message of Zehut is that there is so much potential here. If we change just the slightest thing, we'll have an explosion of prosperity, an explosion of change. I'll give you a little example from the 1970s. I didn't live here, but I read that if you called Bezek, the phone monopoly of the time, and you wanted a phone line in your house, it would take 7 years to get a phone installed in your house. 7 years was the backlog. And all it took was one little change. Okay, no more phone monopoly. And now it takes 7 minutes to get yourself a new phone plan. This is the kind of change. And people think, how could we ever have lived like this? Well, we live like this right now. We live like this right now. There are monopolies, there are cartels, they're everywhere. The land,
93% of the land of Israel belongs to the government. Just imagine that, okay? 93%. This is the real reason why prices of housing is so high, because there's a monopoly on the land. And it's totally against our beliefs, because according to Judaism, every Jew should have his own land
and live mitachat kafno.
A Jew has to be free. By the way, I don't know how many of our viewers are religious, but if you don't have land, a Jew that lost his land, don't have to go to the temple 3 times a year, to Beit HaMikdash 3 times a year. You have to be free Jew in order to be a complete Jew, in order not to be a slave. If you're a slave, then you don't have to go. So the concept of freedom is the most basic concept of Judaism, and this is what the Zehut is talking about. To get us all free, okay? We're talking about freedom and identity that comes together.
These are radical ideas in Israel. You talk about this. I used to take people on hitchhikes, take hitchhikers, and I used to practice my Hebrew by talking to them about freedom and how we can introduce all these ideas. And they would tell me, "Oh, but if you stopped having the government in religion, we wouldn't have any religion." And they've never seen a world where there's Rav Moshe Feinstein and there's the Lakewood Yeshiva, and there's plenty of religion going on of all kinds of different varieties.
Someone wrote to me on my Facebook page today, only the one who Ha'osek b'Torah, who learns Torah, is free. There's a term like that, and that is true. So I wrote him back, "You're right. Only one who Osek b'Torah is free. But if the Torah is subsidized by the state, the Torah is not free. So how can you be free?" Now the Rosh Hashiva has to learn the Torah that the state wants him to learn.
We had in my neighborhood in Gush Etzion, we had, I'll say an example where the cup is half full and the cup is half empty. We had Orot Etzion. I'll mention the name of the school. It's considered one of the best private schools. It's not a private school, and people don't realize this, who are English speakers, because they have to follow the government dictates, they have to spend on the salaries, and the principal of the school sent out an email to all the parents asking them, please lobby the Ministry of Education so that we can fire this one terrible, incompetent teacher. They sent out they sent out this email to all of the parents. It was a mind-boggling. At the same school, my daughter had a teacher by the name of Dr. Gershon Bar Kochba, who is a famous teacher. He's a famous history teacher. And for the exact same salary that this one teacher, who the principal was asking the parents to lobby the Ministry of Education to fire him, he was getting the exact same salary, but he is famous. And people pay him money to go to their simchas, to give a speech, and he's brilliant. He's a genius. And guess what? My daughter wants to be a history professor. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And I believe that the reason, if we want to wrap it all up, why do we think that eventually we'll get 80%? That's what we think. We've got incredible market share potential here, because we talk to Israelis, and this is why we need your help out there. We talk to Israelis and we say, we'll have better ballet, we'll have better films, we'll have better religion if we take the government money out of it and let you spend money on the ballet. Go to the ballet that you like. Go to the yeshiva that you like. Do what you like. You choose. You have your Zehut. Whatever you feel is, you want to have an 8-seater van. Whoa, get your 8-seater minivan.
The fact that 1 million Israelis today left Israel and live today around the area of Miami, okay, they don't get money from the government for yeshivas over there in Miami. Okay, Chabad and others, they don't get. Why do they run there? What do they get over there that they didn't get here? They don't get sal klita in Miami. They get only one thing. The government let you do whatever you want. Basically, they get their freedom. Once they get their freedom, they make a lot of money. They spend it on whatever they want. They get the education they want. They can live free there. We want that to be here in the land of Israel.
I feel like this is an infomercial. I feel like we're selling.
They'll come back. They'll come back.
This is definitely an infomercial. We want your votes. We want everyone's vote. We want religious. We want non-religious. We want big, small. We want everyone. We want everyone's. We want everyone's vote. If there's something that you care about, Zehut has, I believe it has a solution for you. And we come from a country where these ideas are not radical. They're just plain old common sense. The security, this idea of peace through strength, okay? If we want to stop talking about pure economics, why do we want the economics so much? I didn't want to be a millionaire. I have 5 brothers and sisters who are essentially millionaires. I came to Israel, and I'm kind of the black sheep of the family economically. But why do I care so much about economics? Because I love this country. And I have six boys who are going to be going into the army, and I want them to win, okay? And why it all wraps together is that when people are wealthy, when there's plenty of money, you get a situation where the economy is strong, and then we don't have to go to war. And if we do go to war, we win. The United States. Okay, great. So we're going to end the infomercial part, and we're going to go to some questions. What do we got here? I want to hear more about what you want to accomplish. This is from Aviva Ishai, and how you plan to accomplish those plans. Not about what's wrong with what we have now. Okay, thank you so much for reining us in, Aviva.
Okay, Aviva. There are basically the Zehut platform explained it over 300 pages of the best platform. It's translated to Israel to English. You can read it, but I'll mention just 3 basic things that we have in our plans. The first thing, of course, is free economy. We have a way to really lower the prices of housing, to really lower the prices of merchandise, that young Israelis will not have to work so many hours, making less money, and then pay the most expensive money, more money than anyone else in the OECD, as they say. And the plan is very simple. Lower the taxes, flat taxation. It should not be the Israeli government who control the land anymore. Give the land to the people. Have it free. Basically, take out the involvement of the state in the economy. As more freedom that we're going to have in the economy, the economy will flourish.
Can I just
more.
interject one thing there? Basically, Aviva, we're talking about three things. You're going to have more money at the end of the month. You're going to spend less on things because we're going to get things like Walmart here. You're going to stop feeling like a criminal when you smuggle things in at Meches at the airport.
Because there's no Meches.
The prices are going to go down and the taxes are going to down. You're going to have more money and you're going to spend less every single month. This is the economic plan. So many things sound theoretical, sound hard. Let me just give you one example, okay? Why is there no English language radio station in the state of Israel? Nothing since Radio West. I used to broadcast on Radio West. The police came in, raided it, shut it down. Why isn't that? Does it cost the government 1 agora to finance an English language radio station? You say this to Israelis, like, why is there no English language radio station? And forget about us, we're just the citizens. But what about these great diplomats who need to hear some Israeli position? I don't care if it's from Meretz or from Shas or whatever. Let them hear something from an Israeli side of things when they come visiting here. It would cost the government 0 shekels, and it would take 1 day. All you have to do is say, here's your radio station.
The best example is the Waze company, for example, okay? Here in Israel and all over the world, we're using Waze to go everywhere, right? It costs us money. Doesn't cost us a shekel. We get a great service for no money. And the Waze company, you can be sure, in the Waze company, they did not take one, what we call in Israel, jobnikim. There is no
cronyism or nepotism, as they say. Nothing.
There is no Likud guy or Labor guy.
Nobody's brother-in-law.
They use only those that they really need.
Absolutely.
So you don't carry on your back political economy. Okay, this is what you're talking about in the economy. And by the way, it's led by Gilad Alper, who's a well-known economist, who's on our list to the Knesset.
Let's actually just think for a second, about the alternative to Waze. So for decades, the government has been spending money on helping people with traffic. Right. So I don't know if you've seen these on the Ayalon. They have a traffic sign. Hey, you're in traffic. That doesn't really help me. Or there's a traffic 1 kilometer ahead. They have these in the United States all over the place. And no one from the government ever said, you know these signs? Is there a single person who's ever benefited once in the entire life from these signs? We have meetings about the signs. We have money for the signs. We repair the signs. We have new signs. We have plenty of signs. I doubt one person ever got any benefit.
Our viewers telling themselves, yes, but Israel is surrounded with enemies, and we have to spend so much money on the army, and we cannot do the same things that Hong Kong did, or Switzerland is doing, or the real free countries. That always the most free economy you have, the best economy and prosperity you have. Well, let me tell you, the truth is that the percentage that Israel spent on security today is not so much more than the United States of America, for example. I think in America it's about 5% of the national income, and Israel is about 6%. These are the numbers. It is not the security. It is not the army. There's no excuse anymore to make this country a real free country, free economy, and let the Israelis start, get their life back from the centralized economy. So this is the first thing, Aviva, the economy. The second thing is, of course, the education. And as we spoke about, the voucher system. You're going to get back your responsibility to the education of your own kids, and you're going to get a lot of money in vouchers in order to be able to give them the best education that you will choose, the teachers that you will choose. The best teachers will stand online for the Zehut, for the opportunity to teach your kids, and you'll be able to choose between them. And they'll stand online because of a very simple reason. You're going to have about a budget of about 40,000 shekel per month for classes of 20 kids. just imagine, we're talking about salaries that are the highest in Israel, more than what the average high-tech worker is getting today in Israel. It will be worthwhile to be a teacher, but you'll have to be a very good teacher in order to get the job and get your kids. So a guy like Gershon Bar Kofa, for example, he's very, very good, will not have to make money aside by going at night to those events privately, because he will get a salary of a private teacher every day when he goes.
I can tell you,
he goes to work.
You're sitting here with a teacher. I can tell you.
A teacher like you or a teacher like Gershon, parents will pay everything to get to
here's
get
the,
him
here's
to
the
teach your
secret of,
kids.
here's the secret of teaching, that I would do it for nothing. I teach out of love, not because of the salary. But I would never, ever in my life teach in a public school. Why? Because I don't need the headache. I get to work with the most amazing people in the world, and they treat me respectfully,
Right.
and they benefit from me, and it's just pure teaching and the joy of learning. School is about, it's so corrupted by politics. There's so much politics there. There's so much garbage. Who would want that? And a school that's private is just 1 second. We got a request for another question.
One second.
Okay.
Just to complete, the third thing that Zehut is talking about is security. Zehut is the only party who really comes with a plan of what to do with Judea and Samaria. We're talking about annexing the land, the whole land, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean, and we show exactly how to do it. And believe it or not, Arabs from Hebron coming to my office and support the Zehut plan. They say, hey, this is the only plan that can work and bring prosperity and bring peace. So I'm not going to get into the plan right now, but here's what we're talking about: economy, education, and security. You get it with Zehut.
Okay, next question we have. Let's see. Maury Lipson. Zehut wants Israeli citizens who live abroad to be able to cast their votes.
To be able to cast?
To be able to vote.
I didn't get
To
it.
cast is like to take a fishing rod and cast away,
Okay.
take their votes and vote away.
So
they're saying, I think this might be a little bit of a complaint, that, or maybe it's just a comment, that Zehut wants Israelis who live abroad to be able to vote. Why should you have to be in Israel in order to vote?
Zehut believes that the state of Israel is a Jewish state, and as a Jewish state, yes, we think that at the end of the way, also Jews in the diaspora should have the ability to vote in Israel, as long as they going through a certain criteria. That is true. Israel is a Jewish state. It's state of all the Jews. Don't misunderstand me. We believe that every Jew should come to Eretz Israel. There's no more diaspora anymore. We got to a historical position where every Jew that wants to come to Eretz Israel, to the state of Israel, to the land of Israel, can do it, which means there's no more diaspora. You cannot really keep your Jewish identity in the diaspora anymore. And don't think that if you're religious, it's going to help your kids and your grandchildren to remain a Jew. So please come to Eretz Israel, come to the state of Israel, and help us make this state a free state. Help us vote for Zehut and make it worthwhile. We want the young generation to come to Israel. You know what for? To make money. We don't feel ashamed to say it, because most of the waves of Aliyah are coming because of the economical reasons. We have to face it. That is true. We believe in Eretz Israel. We love Eretz Israel, but we realize that we can make this land the land of milk, the land of honey, the land of education, and the land of security. And then they will come. But if you didn't come, it doesn't mean that the state is not yours. Yes, it's yours. And we believe you should be involved in what's happening in Israel, even if you make your decision not to come yet.
Moshe, I think you touched on probably the biggest issue that we have today, and that's the Jewish character of the state. And I just want to draw your attention. in 2005, there's been a massive shift in this country toward having the left, through the courts, rule the country and strip away the Jewish character. According to Yoram Chazoni, who's written extensively on the topic, in 2005 it reached a climax with the Ka'adan decision, where the Ka'adan decision said, actually you can read the words that say that any law whatsoever that makes any distinction whatsoever between religious groups or between nationalities is disallowed, is racist, it is not allowed. Okay, it is the most shocking decision. We live under, this has been a Supreme Court ruling. We live under this right now. By using this particular law, we could theoretically get rid of the law of return. We could get rid of Hatikva as illegal and unconstitutional, even though we never actually passed the Constitution. We could get rid of everything Jewish about the state of Israel. And the only thing that's keeping the Supreme Court from saying no more law of return, no more Hatikva, no more Magen David on the Israeli flag, is that people would react immediately in an uproar. Okay, but just because they haven't done that yet, they have the tools, the judicial tools
it's not only the way
to implement
the fact
it.
that they had the tool. It's done all the time, and I was sitting in Knesset and I saw how it's done slowly but surely. They chewing and the Jewish identity of the state. There are many examples for it. The bottom line is, and what happens now, by the way, if you think it's going to be changed by this new law they're talking about, it's not going to happen. The bottom line is that the judges of the Supreme Court should be voted and by the people, something similar to the system as it happens in a state. The judges,
in the United States,
the judges should represent the values of the people. This is something that we don't have here in Israel, and Zehut will make sure it happens.
It's incredibly important that we are living in a non-democracy at the moment. There is no democracy. The people want essentially a center-right Israel. They want the law of return. They want Hatikva. They want the flag that has a Magen David. Okay, we believe that wherever you are, however you identify as a Jew, okay, we want your vote, and we're gonna give you the state of Israel of your dreams. Okay, but it is in place already for a non-democracy, for a judicial tyranny. That anything where you make a distinction between Jewish and non-Jews, they could go and stop us from bringing Ethiopians in because that's discriminatory. They could say you have to bring in, they could say you have to get rid of the infiltrators from Africa, which they already did, essentially. And it's amazing to hear, but every single major politician on the left supported bringing in Syrian refugees into the state of Israel. It wasn't widely reported.
The concept of Zehut in the subject is very simple. On the private level, on the individual level, 100% freedom. On the national level, we're talking about keeping the Jewish identity. The Jewish identity is the mission of the state, not the private person. Now, what do I mean by that? If the state of Israel will never work. Everything that belongs to the state belongs to the government. It doesn't matter if it's a train company or anything else. Will not work on Shabbat. On one hand, on the other hand, the individual who wants to open a business on Shabbat in a community that allow it will be able to do that too. So the combination of private freedom and national identity, I would say in different words, right-wing ideology and liberal liberalism combined with right-wing ideology this is the combination that the Zehut party is talking about.
It's inconceivable to me that this is not a winning message.
So we're gonna give you your full private freedom and your full Jewish identity. Just think about it. Instead of chewing your identity, sneaking behind you and take away your identity on the national level, we'll make sure you have it. And when Mahmoud Abbas is coming and saying, "Hey, you're not a Jew even. You're not even a Jew," you as he said just a few days ago, we'll laugh. The state of Israel will stand solid behind its Jewish identity. But on the other hand, every individual will be free. This is the combination.
It's a winning combination. We believe that this has got to win, and that the English speakers are going to lead the charge. All right, let's take some of the comments that are coming in. Let's see. Shannon Newson, what's the party's policy on private gun ownership?
The Second Amendment, just like in America, we believe that the right of a person to defend himself it's part of the human rights. You know, today the situation in Israel is so funny. The Arabs in the villages have all the guns in the world. You can hear them shooting at night. But the Jews, those who served in the army, whoa, try to get a permit to get a gun in Israel. It's ridiculous. And we know for sure, that when private people protect themselves, the crime goes down, and there are many examples for that. Well, the American on the audience know exactly what the Second Amendment is, and we believe in it.
Probably, it was interesting in the American gun debate is raging, and Israel is brought up very often because Israel has wide gun ownership. It doesn't have enough gun ownership because the government prevents many people from getting guns. But Israelis use guns responsibly, and it's really important, I think, to mention
because they went to the army for God's sake, they're going to at least start with those who went to combat units, and for 3 years they had machine guns. They had all the equipment you can think of. They used it for 3 years. They taught. They know how to use it, and when they go out of the army, they cannot get it.
Unbelievable. It's an incredible thing.
Maybe it's one of the symbols of a centralized government afraid of its citizens.
It's not even well known because people think of Israelis have guns because they see so many young people who are in the army who are serving who have guns. Yeah. But when they leave the army, they're not allowed to have a gun anymore. And as a result, Israelis are forced to defend themselves with selfie sticks and umbrellas and pizza pans. And it's the ridiculous thing. You have terrorist attacks like at Merkaz Harav Yeshiva, where the police couldn't get in, or let's not talk about why they didn't get in, but it was private people who got in,
right?
Private people who foiled some of the bulldozer attacks.
I have two son-in-laws who served in very special units, combat units. Okay, they're the most elite units. They don't have guns. When they leave the army, it's hard to believe.
It's very hard to believe that we can't defend ourselves. Okay, more questions from the audience. Okay, question from Ruvain Aschenberg. How do we get the votes out to get people to vote for Zehut?
You know, Ruvain, I'm sure that if I will ask everybody who listens to us, if you were sure that Zehut is going to get 8, 9, 10 mandates, will you vote Zehut? How many people listening to us right now? Can you tell me?
I think it's millions of people are listening. I think we have 16.4 million people.
I'm sure that from those who are listening to us right now, at least 90% would love to vote Zehut if they won't have that fear of the threshold. Well, it is very simple. Stop being afraid. You know, there are two reporters who came up with figures. One is Yaakov Bardugo from Galei Tzahal that said in widely broadcast in Galei Tzahal that Zehut get close to two-digit number, I mean two-digit mandates between 6 and 8, something like that, mandates. And the other one was, I think, Amit Segal, who said that Zehut is not passing the Achuz Chasima. Well, it's on you to decide who you're gonna follow. Follow those, follow your dream that we just started to show you, or give up to the same system that will never come with the solutions, not with the economy, not with the education, not with security and defense and the way we deal with the Yehuda v'Shomron and Har HaBayit and all that. It's up to us. We're going to get these borders, and we're starting with you, with the Anglos. We're starting with you because you understand the concept of freedom. Get out there. Put signs of Zehut on your homes. Put stickers of Zehut on your cars. Get in contact with us through our website. Get me and other representatives of Zehut to come to parlor meetings that you organize in your neighborhood, between your friends, at work, and so on. That's the way to get
It's a movement. It's a revolution. It's exciting. This country can be so amazing. And all it takes is just using what we already know. Everybody, you can put, I'll close with this. You can put countries on a graph. The Heritage Center, the Heritage Foundation in the United States does this. They put them on a graph, how much freedom and how much prosperity. And every country basically goes in a line. The worst hellholes, the worst places, holes in the world, some Burkina Faso and Lesotho, or some of the Arab countries are terrible. They have so much oppression and misery, and they get very little in terms of salaries. And you get countries like Switzerland and the United States, Hong Kong, these kinds of countries that have huge salaries. All we need to do is dial it up, and we'll get higher salaries. We'll get Jews flooding in. We'll get Israelis stopping to leave, both permanently and temporarily. We will get a massive improvement, prosperity. You'll be able to get an 8-seater minivan without having to pay huge taxes. You won't have to pay $10 a gallon when you go to the gas station. You won't face corruption when your young people want to get a driver's license. Israelis say, well, if you don't get 50 lessons from the government approved driving instructor, how will anybody learn to drive? You came from a country where people learn to drive without spending 4,000 shekels on a license. And when you have to spend 4,000 shekels, you know what people do instead of getting a license? They stand at trampiadas and they hitchhike, which I love picking up hitchhikers. I've picked up probably 10,000 hitchhikers, but it's crazy. It is crazy. And we live in a country where so much we're expected to just accept is crazy. I don't want my daughter in a hitchhike. I want her to get a driver's license. I don't want her to be prevented. I don't want her to face a monopoly when she wants to get her car repaired. We pay too much. We're taxed too much. We're mistreated. And Zehut is going to set you free.
Did we lit your hope? Did I say it right?
It was the most perfect English I've ever heard.
Okay.
We lit a fire. We want you to get out.
I hope we did. Come stand with us. We're gonna make it. We really believe in this country. We believe in the land of Israel. We believe in the state of Israel, and and definitely those Anglos who knows what freedom is can help us and can do it with us. Thank you very much.